It says Carlos is trying to factor this polynomial to determine all of its zeros. He discovers one factor by making a guess and dividing the polynomial. So he has p of x equals x minus 3 times x cubed minus x squared minus 7x plus 3. Now he's trying to factor the cubic. So he tries dividing it by x plus 3 and then by x plus 1 and finally by x minus 1, but none works without a remainder. Then Teo comes by and says, you should look at the graph. And so here's a picture of the graph. And it says, letter A says, how does the graph help? Well, if you can see the graph right there, that's the factor of x minus 3. That's the one that he already tried that worked. And it's bouncing right there. So now we know that it's actually going to be like, it's going to have an x minus 3 squared times some quadratic in here, some parabola in here. And we can see that the intercepts that we get are not, they're decimals. So you're right about that, but we can actually find out what they are. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of go over that. So the reason that he probably guessed the factor, because it says he guessed a factor, the reason he guessed the factor x minus 3 is because when you put this in your PolyDoku box, for it to not have a remainder, the two numbers, there's like these two numbers that have to multiply to make -9. So what we can do is we know that we're not going to be able to divide by any numbers that don't go evenly into -9. So that's how we get our list of possible factors. We know 1, 3, and 9 are the only numbers that go into 9. And then so you can guess by like looking at these numbers. You can guess and just start like guess checking. So once you get one of the numbers, you do your PolyDoku, you can rewrite this equation as a linear factor times a cubic. And you'll notice that it's still a quartic because if we multiply these together, we still get the quartic out. Then you want to pare it down. You want to put this in your PolyDoku box and divide it by another linear factor. Well, the poor guy tried, see, the only linear factors that can go into this polynomial would be plus or minus 3 and plus or minus 1. So he already tried 3, he tried 1, he tried -1. But when we look at the graph, we see that -3 is a factor twice. It's a double factor because of the graph, because of the bounce on the graph. Because this graph bounced right here, that's how we know the -3 is a double root. So we'll go ahead and put this in the PolyDoku box. And so we're going to try x minus 3 again, because now we know it's a double factor. So we're just trying to factor this cubic here. I've just rewritten it right here. So we know that this has to be x cubed right here, and something times x is x cubed, and that's x squared. And then down here we just multiply to get -3x squared. Then we look diagonally to try to get the -x squared. Well, I would have to add 2x squared, because these have to add up to make this one. And so that kind of forces this top part to be a 2x, because they have to multiply. And then these two multiply, and we get -6x. And then I know that these two diagonal boxes have to add up to make -7. So I know this has to be -1, and that kind of forces this top box to be -1. And -1 times, see, I made my box too far. -1 times -3 is 3. So see, this went in what we call evenly because we ended up with our 3. So now we can rewrite it again as this x minus 3. It's like this. x minus 3, that's that one. And then we've got this other x minus 3. And then we've got this x squared plus 2x minus 1. Like we could, this thing is a quartic, so we can rewrite it with 4 linear factors. Right now we have 2 linear factors. Well, it's actually it's a double root. And then we've got this quadratic. Now the quadratic, I already think it's probably not going to factor. I mean, I can try. I'm looking for something that multiplies to make -1 and adds to make 2. Oh, wait, no. Because the only way I can get 1 is 1 times 1. And so I'm going to have to put it in the quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if I look here at my quadratic, a equals 1, b equals 2, and c equals -1, and then I can just use my quadratic formula. These two. So that would be 4 minus 4 times 1. I'm not going to write the 1. Well, I'll write the 1. All over 2 times 1. Okay, so that's -2 plus or minus square root. Well, -4 times 1 times -1, that's going to kind of end up being +4. And 4 plus 4 is 8. So this will be 8 inside here. And this will be a 2 down here. And 8, I can rewrite it as it's like square root 4 times square root 2. And the square root of 4 is 2. So this is going to end up being. And then I can cancel out my 2's. And I get -1 plus or minus root 2. And that is where those little decimals were on the on our quadratic. So I'm supposed to finish the problem. Well, so to finish the problem, so I guess I'm gonna write it like I'll write it like that in factored form, and then it said to letter B, it said complete the problem. And so I think I just want to say what x is equal to. So I'm going to say from this factor right here, x is equal to 3. And from this right here, we just found out x is equal to -1 plus or minus square root 2.